I've lived the entirety of my life in America, and if there's one thing Americans love, it's food. A love that's blatantly obvious given our obesity rates. Unsurprisingly, this has led to an onslaught of food-based channels, from the now irrelevant Epic Mealtime to Review Bra. Food-based channels have a pretty decent-sized market on YouTube, so if you're too damn lazy to commit the act of eating, just watch someone else commit a slow, delicious form of suicide on camera. Sadly, we live in 2017 as of now. The exciting challenges of the past have fallen out of style, given that channels like Epic Mealtime and Reckless Eating are now irrelevant, having been replaced by the mundane concept of simply filming yourself eating on camera and nothing else. Which brings me to our first subject, Wendy's Eating Show. I honestly fail to see why a channel this devoid of entertainment has over 500,000 subs, but then again, this is modern YouTube, where you can place a logo over SpongeBob footage and get thousands of views in return. Just a little side rant here, placing a logo over footage is one of the easiest editing tricks in the book. It's something so easy a fucking caveman could do it. The majority of her most popular content involves either Takis or Cheetos. Apparently there's now a Takis challenge on YouTube. Yeah, you call that a challenge? Try eating surströmming. Anyways, if you want to see someone eating hot Cheeto-flavored noodles, then this is the channel for you, and if you weren't sick to death of all the assholes filming themselves eating in cars, well, this channel has that as well. Now, there is nothing worse than boring YouTube channels. At least with terrible YouTube channels, there is something to talk about. This channel is devoid of life. It puts you to sleep with its sheer lifelessness. I know this is going to sound funny, but the most entertaining moment from my experience with her channel is her talking about washing cars of all things.
It's almost like when you buy a car, like you're like washing it, waxing it for the first month, and then like the second month is like all dirty from the outside and the inside, and then you don't care anymore.
And boy does this YouTuber fill her videos with tons of boring talking. Lots of boring talking.
It's my birthday. Not just my birthday, it's my son's birthday. We share the same month, almost the same day. Like, it's so crazy to me that we have birthdays together, like, and I can't get over the fact that next month is my birthday. So, oh yeah, and also, like, talking about birthdays, I think it's funny when you go out with your friends or family, and you're like at a restaurant or mainly like a buffet, and you go tell one of the waitresses that it's your brother's or your mom's birthday. But like a lot of you guys were like, it's normal, you're gonna get used to it, and I was like, okay, I better get used to it, because the first, like the first few days of school, you saw everybody like on time, everybody was there like at 6 a.m. at school, and now the second week of school, everybody's like running late, nobody stays behind with their kids, nobody's taking pictures.
And this brings me to my next subject. Is inserting food into your mouth all you have to do to entertain people on this site? But then again, this is 2017, where any video with a flashy thumbnail can get tons of hits. I think it's best I move on to the next YouTuber before I fall asleep from boredom.
Hey guys, it's your girl Peggy here.
I feel like I'm giving myself brain damage watching these YouTubers. This fine young lady is Peggy Neo, with over 130,000 subscribers, all of which were earned by eating. It's so weird. Back in YouTube's golden age, simply turning on a camera and eating would not have amassed an audience this big. And given the uncontroversial subject matter, chances are she doesn't have to worry about demonetization and probably makes a pretty decent living off of this. Unlike the previous channel, this user cuts away most of the boring talking in favor of advertising shitty mobile games in the intro.
Anyway, before we begin, I just want to let you guys know that this video was sponsored by Best Fiends. Best Fiends is a free adventure puzzle game where you can collect and build a team of fiends to defeat slugs by matching same colored objects. I gotta say, I'm having a lot of fun. The game graphics are really good. The higher levels can be a little challenging, but that's what makes it so fun.
Most of the video afterwards is just straight up eating. I'm not joking. I'm speeding up one of her videos right now. It's almost all eating. So if you have a high tolerance for eating sounds, then I guess this channel is for you. I'm confused as to how she stays skinny after eating all that food. I'm guessing she just forces herself to puke it all up afterwards or something like that. One may be confused at her success, but I understand why she has as many subs as she does. Because people think she's smoking, and her inserting food into her mouth reminds certain men of a favorite pastime. And yes, I'm talking about blowjobs. Aside from her looks, there really is no appeal in this channel. Just goes to show you that you really don't need much talent to get big on YouTube. All you need is the looks and tons of food. Given that this is a rant on food-based channels, I just had to mention this guy. Even though I really don't want to.
Hi everyone, this is Joe for Joey's Super Cool Food Reviews! I'm back!
What am I even doing with my life when I've stooped as low to even mention this guy? Given that Leafy is irrelevant and every second-rate imitator has riffed on Joey, plus the fact he's been featured in a million now irrelevant cringe comps, I'll try to keep this as short as I possibly can. Where do I even begin with this guy? I mean, just look at him. He's as big as Jupiter. Hell, he probably has his own orbit. You could throw a baseball at this guy and he'd probably start spinning around him like a moon. This guy is what I thought all fat people were like back when I was an edgy 10-year-old. I mean, just watching this behemoth stuff his mouth full of food makes me feel like starving myself. And I only weigh around 150 pounds or so. This guy is clearly losing relevance, given his popularity peak was sometime around last year, thanks in no part to a now irrelevant brand of YouTube channels. Now his views pale in comparison to last year's bloom period, and rightfully so. There is nothing else to see in his channel aside from him getting one step closer to a fucking heart attack. People have simply moved on to other things to make fun of. And me talking about this sperm whale dragged out of water is nothing more than a waste of time. So, food channels. What do I think of them? They bore me to death. And quite frankly, I'm pretty certain most people find the act of simply eating themselves to be more entertaining. There is simply nothing to gain out of watching a woman eating large amounts of food for 30 minutes. So I must ask the question, why do they have as many subs as they do? Well, aside from the morbid curiosity factor of Joey's World Tour, I don't know. Yet again, I have to point out the fact that we are in a dark age of YouTube. Good content is seemingly ignored, in favor of bland garbage that lacks personality. There is an entire upcoming generation out there, and they are growing up on the lamest content YouTube has ever seen. Kids channels, pseudo-intellectual wankfests, trend channels, the lowest common denominator of meme culture. There is still stimulating content on this site, but aside from a few gems here and there, it's going mostly ignored. I'm convinced that YouTube is in its dying phase, given how corporatized it has become, alongside a community that just doesn't give a fuck anymore. I'll continue to use this site until its demise, but even now, I still wonder why I even bother with it. Because YouTube is a toilet that will never be unclogged.